This critique and redesign was done with the intention of improving AWeber's mobile experience for their customers as well as their customers' end users. Though this is a UX critique and redesign, I do first need to address the UI of the current app. It does affect the user experience, and I cannot move forward leaving it as is. The app has not been updated to adhere to AWeber's current colors and typography, which I find much more inviting. The current UI of the Stats app is varying shades of blue on gray, and it just feels very corporate. I redesigned the dashboard to make it look less stiff, and I started to include the orangey gold color and the brighter blue that's currently used by AWeber. I also changed the typeface to Hebo, which is a close match to the font currently used on AWeber's web app. I also removed the header that showed the list, as I feel that users expect the dashboard to show everything in the account's entirety, so I changed that to Mobren Digital's account rather than Morgan Brennan's list. I also removed the hamburger menu and added other elements that I will address later. The largest UX problem that I came across for this app was that it feels incredibly static. I don't get the feeling that I can interact with it, there's no clear call to action, and if I was a long-term user, I would probably just consider deleting the app and set up email notifications for the web app. So the first thing that I did was add this big add button to the navigation bar. Though this app is just intended to show the statistics of your campaigns, my goal is to improve the user experience on mobile, and being able to actually add subscribers and create things on mobile would engage the users more. So I added this little slide up menu, and I would also include this on empty state screens, so if you don't have any subscribers yet, I would have a clear call to action to add subscribers via that screen. I also added options to filter stats by certain time frames so you can better understand your numbers. I would also include progress indicators next to the numbers. For example, if you're on the week view, then you would compare these numbers to last week's numbers. I didn't include that on this mockup because my account is brand new and there's no numbers to compare it to. Next, I'm going to go to the broadcast screen. This and the subscriber screen is where users should be able to filter by list, rather than the entire app just automatically being filtered by list. And speaking of filter, there is no way to filter or search for subscribers before, so users would have to scroll all the way down to find specific broadcasts, so I added a search and a filter bar. I also moved the selection of sent and scheduled broadcasts below the overall stats of the list, because giving the scheduled broadcast a screen of their own when there's no real interaction or information feels like an inefficient use of space, and I want to keep those overall stats on the screen at all times. So when we move over to the scheduled broadcast selection, I included the audience that the message is scheduled to be sent to, as well as a status of whether it's scheduled, sending, or if the message failed to send. So we can take a look at that. So it's sending, and that's failed to send. I included this because when I scheduled a broadcast and refreshed my screen, it was gone. I had a small panic, even though I wasn't actually sending the message to anyone. And I checked the web app to see where it went, and it was in the process of sending. But I didn't see that on the app, so it was just, I felt a lot of negative emotions going through that experience. So I can't imagine how someone that actually owns a business and would be using this to send to their customers, I can't imagine how they would feel. So that's why I added those status indicators. I also added a settings button so that way users can reschedule or delete their campaigns, as well as adjust which list or audience they're sending it to, or they could copy it to another list. And if I was on the go and I realized that something in the broadcast was inaccurate, or I got new information and want to hold off on the message, I would be devastated if I couldn't edit it. Lastly, I want to talk about the menu that I removed, as well as the elements that I've included. I removed the menu because I felt like it was unnecessary and disruptive for such little value. I changed it to this account drop-down menu that includes your account information, notification settings, privacy information, and a logout button. I also included an upgrade button because I'm not sure what would happen if I hit 500 subscribers and I could no longer use the free plan. I also think that there's an opportunity within the app to give teasers of what is included in the pro plan, like if you wanted to view more detailed stats but that information was blurred out. and people are much more impulsive on their phones. And the last thing I changed was the notification settings. I felt uncomfortable not knowing exactly what I would be turning on with notifications with the original design, so I did my best to make that more clear by giving users more control over their preferences. Well, that's all I have for the UX redesign. I do want to mention other features that could highly benefit the user experience for mobile, one of which being a responsive mode on the web app, so you can rearrange and remove information for different devices. You may have more images on a desktop email to break up the text, but then too many images on mobile can end up hiding important information. I also think that a mirroring feature could set you apart from the competition. It is a pain sending yourself test emails over and over again to see your broadcasts and see if they came across effectively on mobile. And you do have to check. As a UX designer, I design for mobile all the time, but if I'm not checking on the device, like if I'm doing mobile, I would check on my cell phone to use the mirroring app to see how it actually looks on my phone. You have to do that regularly, otherwise you find that you miscalculated safe zones, things are more cluttered than you expected, the hierarchy isn't coming across as you intended, the colors are off, your eyes are drawn to the wrong things, etc. So it's very important to see how something actually looks on mobile. So the mirroring feature would also be extremely useful for creating landing pages and sign-up forms as well, especially if the customer's end users use mobile as their primary device. So being able to edit for mobile in real time and see it on your device as it's happening, so that way you don't have to constantly send yourself test emails when you've adjusted things pixel by pixel. I haven't seen other competitors do it. I haven't seen MailChimp do it, Constant Contact, GetResponse, and I think that it would attract more mobile-focused users.